started.
Okay, so we was talking about class. A class will be having access modifiers. Access modifiers are private, protected, public, global. Okay, mostly what we'll do is we'll use public. Okay, most of the things will be used public. You don't need to worry about all others. Just think about what are the access modifiers. If someone asks an interview questions, it will be a difficult to you guys if you don't remember that. So what are access modifiers? Private, protected, public, global. Don't need to worry about that. Okay. So after we complete this one class, then I'll explain what are the differences. You will get to know this. Public, class. Let me give person as I explain this. Okay, person. So whatever the class name you have given, person will be having some identifiers like name or name is one, then is address, okay, some other will be there. Those are called as variables. Okay, let me give is is the number you have to give integer. Okay, name means string text, string name. Okay, address is also string address. Okay, this is the declaring the variables. Okay, constructors means whatever the class name is there, the same class name if you give like this one and enter some statements. Okay, so that is called constructor. So when the constructor will be called when the object is getting created, by the time to create an object constructor is required. Don't need to worry about all of these things. I'll let you know this. Okay, first let's go with the variables. I'll explain you later this ones. Okay, so variables, usually you have declared variables like integer a equals to 10 or integer a equals to 20, something like, right? So you guys have done like this, then what will be the difference? Whatever, if you, this is the default access modifier. If you don't give any access modifier, then this is the default access modifier. Okay, so usually how you have declared the variables, integer I equals to 10, you have declared like this one and you have used this, right? That means if you don't give any access modifier, it will be the private access modifier. Internally, if you don't give any access modifier, it takes the access modifier private. Without access modifier, you can't declare the method or class or even the variable also. Okay, always one modifier will be there, access modifier will be there, but the default access modifier is private. Okay, here inside the class also you have given some things like integer age, string name, string address. Those are also private variables. Okay, now you have already seen that there are few types of variables, local variables. Okay, I explained you guys that local variables will be accessed inside the block only. Okay, and then instance variables syntax will be instance variables. These variables will be inside the class. Okay, inside the class syntax will be access modifier. If I give am access modifier, then data type, this is common data type, then variable name, this is one. If you want to give am data type, variable name equals to some value, right? So local variables are also you have seen. So without access modifier, you have already seen that integer I equals to 10. So here, when you declare the same variables inside the class, you should define the access modifier. If you don't give any access modifier, then it will be private. Okay, let me give one example. The same example I'm going to do is, see, this entire block, this entire execute anonymous window, this entire window from line to 4 or everything, this is one block of code. Okay, that's why even if you declare, okay, so this, even if you give like this integer I, so this is outside the loop, right? But as this is the same block, even though if it is private variable, this will be accessed inside the back. Okay, now for understanding, let me create one Apex class. How to create? File new Apex class. File new Apex class. I'm giving person. If you give the class name, the class will be created with syntax public class class name. Okay, now here let me give integer is string name, string. Okay, I have given this thing. It will be saved. See, be careful. If you show star mark here, data, whatever you have created, that is not saved. Make sure you saved it. If you control yes, it will be saved. Else, go to the file store, then it is saved. The class is saved. Now, how to execute this class? You cannot run any program here. You should use the develop Apex, sorry, execute anonymous window to execute the code. Okay. Now, syntax to execute the or to access the variables from the class. Okay. If you want to access the variables from the class, then you have to create an object. Without an object, you cannot access anything. So object creation is, object is nothing but your variable. It's nothing else on this. Okay. First, let's say I'm giving equals to new. Give me like, let me give a syntax how to create an object. Class name, okay, variable name, or let's say object name equals to new keyword. This is new keyword. Then class name. Okay. So first name, class name, object name equals to new keyword, then class name, end the brackets. Start and end the brackets and semicolon. Then you can access anything from the object name dot age. Okay, object name dot name. You can access like this. Okay, so be careful how to access this one. Creating an object. This is the syntax. Okay, so then accessing the variables from the method is this one.
Ali,
Okay,
is
now
that
let me try CML. Yes,
is the new keyword is all in the cap letter or it's is there any case sensitive? Is there?
what is that?
The new keyword is the case sensitive
New keyword is no.
is case sensitive.
So I already explained you, right? Apex is not a case sensitive. It's not a case
Okay,
sensitive.
okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, but we used to follow the same Java naming convention. Okay. So the same syntax. Let's use class name is person. Give like mark equals to, then new keyword give as new, use like this one, or even if you give Like this also, it doesn't give any problem, but make sure keywords will be in this one, person, and this one. Okay. Now, system dot debug of name, let's say name of the person dot. This is how you have to use. See, if it is here, if it is in the same block, you don't need to give the here dot object name dot. Just give name, it will be printed. Okay, but as you are getting from the class, you have to give the object name dot name. Okay, now you can understand. It will give some error now. Execute this. Person name variable is not visible. Is saying that it is not saying that variable is not exist. Let's say if I give one, this name one variable does not exist inside the class, right? So now if you execute this, it will say this variable does not exist name one. And when you see this, if you give name, see this variable is not visible, right? It means if you don't give any access modifier, default access modifier is private. Private means inside this block, means wherever this block it is started and ended. In this block only this variable can be accessed. Outside that means this is one block and this is another block. Execute anonymous will always be a separate block. So this separate block you cannot access the private variables. Private variables can only be accessed inside the class only. That cannot be accessed outside the class. For that, what you need to do is make the variables like public. Public. Set. Okay. Now you have saved. See, saving is very, very important. If you use CLS, star is there, right? So you should save it to remove that star. If you remove that star, then only this program is saved. Okay. Now just execute this. It won't give any error, but it doesn't give any value also. See this. See, name is null. So the default value of any variable is null. Okay. Now, if you want to set nog, I need to set the name for this variable. See, nog dot name equals to something. Okay. Nog dot age equals to 20. Nog dot address. Again, same way, however you were saying integer I equals to 10 or something, the same way you can give this, but instead of direct variable, you can give object name dot variable name. Okay, now print it. System dot system dot debug of see name dot system dot debug of is dot system dot debug of address dot. Okay, so this is how you can give it. And let's say if you want to give in single line, system dot debug plus name age. You like this plus dot plus dot. So this is how you can access the modifiers, sorry, variables. Okay. Make sure you declare all public variables inside the class. Try this. Age does not exist. It is saying
Spelling mistake. Yes.
yes. Okay. Execute this. We should be able to find the reason immediately why the error is coming. 20 MB. So if you want to print in the same line, you can do this. So here, very important thing is how you are going to create a class. So access modifier, class name, inside the variables, how you have to declare this. Okay. The instance variables always will be declared like this one. Okay. Even what you can do is equals to press it only fine. You can give some x, y, z, abc. Like this also you can give. Okay. If you give like this and you don't need this, say this. So by default, what will happen? So for this object, age will be 25, name will be xyz, address will be this one. For your understanding, let me print this before. Okay. Here, here. Okay. So now execute. See this. First, whatever the default values are there given in the person class will be printed first, because those are the values by default. These are called default values. Okay, default values will be assigned while creating an object itself. So the variables are having these many values, so those are printed at line number 2. Then variables are assigned with different values. Name equals something is changed, address is changed. Then while printing in the second, after the second line, from here, these values are overridden, like what are the values are there while creating the object. Those values are overridden with these values. So now the new values will be coming in this next debug statements. Okay, so this is about the class and instance variables. There are a lot of things to learn on these variables and methods and constructors. I'll let you know one by one later. Okay, so this is for today. This is enough. Okay, could you stop recording?